Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Warhammer 40k Rogue Trader. As today, we open with some rogue trading. As you can see, we've maxed out our rep with Tech Priest Quartz Crane. So, let's collect our prizes. Sadly, there are still a fair few items we can't actually purchase because our profit factor is too low. But this should still give us a fair number of modest upgrades. Not to mention, of course, some extra consumables to consume. This one's actually pretty interesting, the Metronome, which grants a fairly substantial characteristic boost if you don't spend any MP during your turn. It's deceptive, though, because attacking also consumes MP. So you do have to jump through some very specific hoops if you want to enjoy that bonus on any sort of regular basis. As for the rest of this stuff, we can't afford it just yet, but we're not too far off. I think, in theory, it should be possible for us to reach profit factor 18 or higher by the end of Act 1. We do still have 2 major locations ahead of us. Analyst helmet obviously goes to Valen. Wish it looked slightly better, but it's fine. First aid manual will go to Abelard. The psychic body glove will obviously go to Adira. Technically, Cassie is also a psyker, but she does not actually have a psyker rating, which is integral for making this thing work properly. Then we'll toss that new modified bolter to Argenta. It is essentially a better version of Unfated Valor. Slightly less damage than a normal bolter, but with 4 rate of fire, which I feel does make it better overall than its vanilla counterpart, especially now that we have rapid fire. And Cassie, who I guess we'll give the Metronome. I mean, I can't really see any of these other characters ever triggering it. Cassie does have occasional turns where she does nothing but support actions. And as for Pascal, I would toss him this plasma pistol we just got, but I feel like at this stage he still really needs that extra hit chance from the sniper rifle. Oh, yes, and of course we also want to dole out medkits to everyone who can now use them. Plus, I suppose, a few grenades here and there. Certainly doesn't hurt to have more options. And that's it. Trading and upgrades complete. Let's do some groundwork. See what other clues we can dig up about what's really going on out here. Hey, Kramer, one more thing before I go. Have you ever met this Abel Hanuman?
Unit Quartz Crane has had no previous communications with Unit Abel Hanuman. The memory sector contains other data related to this query. Various resources and data storage devices of interest have been extracted by the standing army of Rykad Minoris for preservation purposes. The command center currently hosts a cogitator that was used by Unit Abel Hanuman. Appeal to the cogitator spirits for further information.
Yeah, I was just getting to that, but thanks. The heavy hum of this massive cogitator runs down the metal walls of the bunker, filling the entire command center. This cogitator looks a lot older and more worn than the ones next to it. However, it has evidently been well cared for. Numerous parts have been replaced, not a single key is jammed, and fresh seals with prayers to the Omnissiah adorn its surface. One of the side panels has been removed. Bundles of gold-notched cables run from inside to a small data crypt that was connected only a short while ago. The screen reads, "Awaiting access code." We're in. You have bypassed the security layers. The cogitator is ready to reveal its secrets. Pascal leans forward and runs his fingers over the keys. The cogitator's screen blinks and responds with strings of unknown characters.
I appealed to the machine spirit to open Logis Abel's personal archives as well. It has accepted my request.
Logis's private archive, result of Logis Abel's data trance. I cannot see the secret design, but I can sense it, shackled in stasis. The minds of the initiated are slumbering in the neural harness of their vows. I am registering an impulse of change. I surmise a potential influence on the stasis of the secret design. There came a time when the spiral was turned into a circle, but the cycle can be discontinued. The revelation granted by the Omnissiah to Logis Abel in the course of his data meditation has been recorded verbatim. Logis Abel is seeking an audience with the venerable Dar Impulse 6, who may assist in interpreting the revelation. A request has been sent to the Governor's Palace for a shuttle flight to the Electrodynamic Cenobium. A message has also been sent to the Furibundus system.
The cycle can be discontinued. I recognize the words.
The voice from the box is soft and pensive, barely audible over the static noise.
I believe I know the intended recipient of the message in the Furibundus system. It was me. Omnissiah, grant me the wisdom to fathom this mystery.
Sacred Computation 7825M. Upon Logis Abel's orders, the archives of every auger station on Rykad Minoris and the 2 primary satellites of Rykad Star have been queried. Said satellites are named Magos Maruf and Zafira the Keen, after 2 great champions of faith, whose external cogitators were placed inside the satellites' cores after their shells perished. The purpose of the sacred computation requested by the Logis is to uncover the external influence behind the ongoing insurgency. Computation result: positive. Multiple instances of interference and malfunction detected, suggesting that the ships moving across the system deliberately blinded the sacred auger's eyes. The first of these ships is thought to have arrived 2 Rykad Minoris cycles ago, early in the winter. The most recent one arrived a month ago. Logis Abel's conclusion: the insurrection on the planet had been long in the making, with the participation of external actors. It is alleged that 2 cycles ago, Aurora arrived in the Rykad system, the rumored unholy prophet of the insurgents. The subsequent ship movements can be attributed to weapon deliveries. But what is the nature of their activity near Rykadi Philia? Governor Medina's attention must be drawn to... The final entry cuts off abruptly. I'm really kind of disoriented with how they presented these entries, like, is it Logis Abel writing them in third person, or is it someone else entirely? Recent observations. The satellite Magos Maruf reports that a ship has translated into the system. Its signature is consistent with the records of the flagship of a rogue trader dynasty, House von Valancius. The satellite Zafira the Keen reports that a ship drifting nearby has hurriedly sped away. The ship had sent an encrypted Vox transmission to the insurgent-controlled areas of the surface of Rykad Minoris. Another transmission was directed to planetoid Rykadi Philia. Both transmissions were signed Brother Twilight. Their contents could not be decrypted. Ah, no doubt Conrad making his exit. He fled the ship to another one idling nearby, then checked in with the insurgents on both planets before fleeing the area. Yep, that tracks. Also seems to more definitively link the events on both planets. And that's the second time we're hearing the name Brother Twilight, which I'm guessing must be Conrad. We found those log entries in the sewer about how he had failed his task and had warned of our impending arrival. To be investigated. The entry contains planet-side coordinates marked as Heavy auger station jamming. Possibly a hidden insurgent base? Question mark? Interesting. No journal entry pop-up, no context. Doesn't even narrow down which planet they're talking about. That's weird. Though at a glance here, it looks like all roads lead to the electrodynamic cenobium. Ooh, you know, we might hold off on that one. I'm not sure that's really something that Valen would do. But I get it. Again, this is a setting that primarily deals in absolute, so just dabbling in heresy is a bit of an oddity. Especially when you're doing it
always have a backup plan.
With ostensibly good intentions. These heavy chains are used to adjust the height of the command platform. Any new dialogue options?
Is there money to be made?
Nope. How about you, Medina? Nope. Okay. I think we're done here. Just wanted to see if we could inform either of them about our findings. Also, this really does feel like a bad idea, having all these high explosives parked right outside their central command center. I don't think anything's going to come from it, but it does very much feel like some pretty heavy-handed lamp shading. Like, I would not at all be surprised if I later found out a saboteur had blown this entire place off the map.
Permission to report, Lord Captain. Over the past few days, I received several messages from different decks complaining about anomalous behaviors in the ship's cogitators and servitors. The machine spirits are restless and rebellious, and no tech litany or ritual of pacification can rid them of this obstinacy. The tech priests can deal with the vessel systems, but the servitors, they make errors in their tasks, disobey orders, change the assigned rituals, or sometimes downright freeze, as if in a trance.
A click comes through the Vox channel, followed by a weary sigh. Lord Captain, occurrences such as these are caused by errors in cogitator calculations, or have some other sensible explanation. I beseech you not to take after those who whisper about the ship being cursed or possessed. Adira joins the channel and chimes in playfully. Oh, don't start, old man. All these peculiar happenings have long since turned into local legends. A door slams shut, a lumen starts flickering. Folks have grown used to all that, so our resident ghost has decided to up the ante. I'm telling you, things are only going to get worse from here.
The technomats inspected the servitors and concluded they pose no danger. According to the servants of the Omnissiah, such behavior is caused either by the echoes of minds not completely eliminated, or by manifestations of the machine spirit's will. Nevertheless, the faulty servitors make the crew's tasks considerably more difficult, and High Factotum Janris Danrock would like to discuss how he should deal with the defective property. He is awaiting your audience on the bridge.
Okay, yeah, I guess we're doing this. This was not in the early access build, so I'm curious to see where it takes us. Though largely I suspect it's just an excuse to get the player to talk with Janris Danrock, since he does have several vital functions hidden in his dialogue options. Oh, speaking of which, we can actually use his trading interface to finish maxing out our rep with the Thunderfang. I'll take care of that once we've dealt with the servitors. The corpulent man in lavish clothes bows before you, not without difficulty. A servo skull whirs over his shoulder while the fingers of his augmented hand drum against the sheaf of papers he is holding, and he regards you with attentive interest through the lens of his magnifying implant. Greetings, your lordship. Janris Danrock, at your service. Yeah, we met during the briefing. You're my high factotum, right? Indeed. As the high factotum, my duties encompass anything that might enrich you and your protectorate. I see to it that our suppliers deliver all shipments on time, that our partners do not weasel out of their promises, and that all servants remember that the Emperor's grace can only be earned through toil for the good of the von Valancius dynasty. I also make arrangements to ensure that our hold receives less than thorough inspections by port customs officers, and I find buyers for whatever you wish to sell. Too much? No, I feel like it fits him. So how'd you land this gig? Not another one of Theodore's heirs, I hope. I came from Dargonis, your lordship. I have been a subject of your dynasty since birth, and have always strived to be of use to the great rogue trader. Alas, it was not my fate to be the primary heir of my own family, due to my being 15th in line for the title. So I decided not to stand in the way of those behind me, in case they attempted to shorten the waiting list at my expense. Yeah, I get that. Janris lets out an almost kindly chuckle. While my brothers and sisters schemed against one another, I studied the exact sciences and mastered bookkeeping, the greatest art of the Adeptus Administratum. I must admit that the accumulation of wealth, something one can control, is far more exciting than hunting, carousing, and the other traditional amusements of my noble peers. Yeah, I get that too. We have a lot in common, Danrock. So what was it like, working for my predecessor? Oh, now, that's a tricky question, your lordship. Do you ask it of everyone, knowing they risk losing their head should they let slip a careless remark about your predecessor? I shall put it thus. Working for Lady Theodora was never boring, and always profitable. The Imperium has billions of subjects, but very few do what they love, and what they are best suited to. I would say Lady Theodora was one of the fortunate ones. She was a model rogue trader, and she surrounded herself with those who excelled at and loved their work. Hers was a rare talent indeed. I see. And the rest of the senior staff? Any thoughts? Keeping tabs on your subordinates? A wise move. Tell me who interests you, and I'll endeavor to be as honest as possible. Janris's eyes light up. He is obviously eager to speak his mind. Great. Glad to hear it. Let's start with Abby. What do you think? Lady Theodora managed to do what even the Imperial Navy could not. Teach Master Worsurian to carry out orders that he fundamentally disagrees with. I do not know what method she used, but the result is impressive. Having said that, there is something else you need to know, Lord Captain. Your seneschal is capable of being something far greater than a mere conduit for your will. He possessed the cunning and experience to run the Protectorate passably whenever Lady Theodora was away, and that really is saying something. Keep an eye on that old officer, I say. Or, alternatively, turn him into a faithful ally. Wow, that's pretty high praise. I'll certainly keep that in mind. How about Conrad, our former Master of Whispers? Didn't really have much time to size him up. I hope I never see him set foot aboard this vessel again. Not even as a servitor. Although, he would be able to do at least some good that way. Someone has to clean the latrines, after all. The Factotum's bloated face grows stern. He gave us all quite a fright on that ill-fated day, Lord Captain. And still, to speak candidly, I never enjoyed Master Voigtvir's company. But I believed him to be a man who knew how to do his job. Regretfully, I was mistaken. It turned out Conrad lacked the most important quality for a Master of Whispers: unwavering loyalty to the rogue trader. And his failing came to light in the most deplorable manner. Slight understatement, but yeah. And, Vigdis, our new Voxmaster, Ah, yes, the Voidborn. You know, in my family, we used such creatures as quarry whenever we went hunting. Mutants are the bane of humanity, an unseen tumor that threatens to end us all. But I digress. In the brief time Ptolemy has spent in post as Voxmaster, I have not noticed any significant flaws in her character, or anything that would make me question her professional qualities. Needless to say, she is very diligent, as is any Voidborn seeking to earn their master's affection. I believe that you can trust in her skills and loyalty. Okay, well, got a bit weird there, but I appreciate your insight. As you say, your lordship. Man, there's all the game stuff down at the bottom. Trading, respecking, and so on. We won't worry about any of that just yet. And then this, I believe, is just a faction primer? Yeah. Again, we won't worry about that just yet. We haven't even met half these guys. Thus far, we are restricted to low-tier Explorators and Fellowship. We'll dig more into that in Act 2. Certainly, Lord Captain. Danrock, have you ever heard of a ship called the Fiery Reckoning? I found mention of it in some of Theodora's old records. Janrus thinks for a moment, pursing his lips in concentration. I am afraid it's not immediately familiar to me, your lordship. Please, allow me a moment. He starts rapidly tapping on the screen of his data slate. I say, House von Valancius did indeed sign a contract with the owners of a vessel with the designation Fiery Reckoning. There are transactions, records of a ship picking up cargo from Kiava Gamma. Well, this is odd. The data log ends there. Apparently, the ship had some interactions with one of the workshops on your industrial world. I beg your pardon, your lordship, but that is the extent of the assistance I can provide you in regard to this particular matter. Interesting. That wasn't in early access either. That must have something to do with whatever got her killed. Her grand secret project, which I'm sure we'll find out more about later. Thanks, Danrock. Now, what's going on with these servitors? I was told there's some sort of malfunction. Yes, you see, your lordship, the ship's servitors have been malfunctioning of late. They violate protocols, interrupt their tasks, observe crew members for long periods of time, and move erratically with no meaning or purpose. Janrus Danrock nervously pulls on his luxurious frock coat, as if it were uncomfortably tight. Had it been a routine technical fault, I would have decided the fate of these servitors myself, but I deemed it necessary to notify you. I do not wish to hide such irregularities from the Lord Captain. If you wish to observe the servitors' unusual behavior before you decide their fate, this can be arranged. The majority of the defective units have been delivered to one of the storage compartments, pending your decision. Pascal Hanuman expressed the desire to be present during the inspection, should it be carried out. I suppose the expertise of the esteemed Magos may come in handy. Yeah, I certainly don't see why not. Let's go have a look. See what kind of ghosts have gotten in these machines. As you wish, your lordship. Would you like the Exsellsior Prime to accompany you? Whoa, hold on. I'm going to say that was a quick promotion, but yes, by all means. As your lordship commands. Location: Von Valancius flagship, lower decks. Material: report of a tech phenomenon that was observed during the Lord Captain's visit to Bay AKN 108. From the words of High Factotum Janrus Danrock. When his lordship arrived at the scene, he found the servitors in the same position that they assumed after they had been corralled into the bay, all standing in a long, spiraling line, facing the center of their strange formation. The moment his lordship crossed the threshold of the bay gate, their bodies jerked into motion, all as one, as if obeying a command. The servitors turned to face the Lord Captain. The technomats tasked with overseeing the defective units even reached for their weapons. But then the servitors went still just as abruptly, staring at his lordship with vacant eyes. All present held their breath. Disturbed by this sight, we waited for the Lord Captain to speak. His lordship, Valin von Valancius, took several steps toward the servitors. Immediately, the servitors, each and every one of them, stepped toward the Lord Captain in perfect unison. They mimicked his movements with frightening precision. The rogue trader halted in place and, after a moment's thought, waved his hand, and the servitors, just as synchronously, repeated that gesture as well. When the Lord Captain turned quizzically to the technomats, so did the servitors, as if mocking him. Whatever the Lord Captain did, be it an incline of the head, a wave of the hand, or a step to the side, the defective units repeated it without a moment's delay or hesitation, like grotesque marionettes, controlled by an unseen puppeteer. We observed this mime unfold in distressed bafflement for nearly a minute, until the servitors finally came to a stop. Not sensing any threat from them, the rogue trader approached with confidence. The Lord Captain examined the servitors. As High Factotum, it is I who had prompted that entire inspection, and thus it was my duty to follow the Lord Captain. As we stepped closer, we noticed a fascinating irregularity. The servitors' pupils, normally still, were shaking wildly. Their bulging veins were pulsing under their copper collars, inscribed with their past offenses. It was as if these mindless half-machines were locked in a perpetual state of extreme tension. A visibly shaken technomat behind us proposed that the human souls had awakened within the servitors' bodies after a long slumber, deep within their lobotomized brains. Formerly bereft of intelligence, they had attained awareness, feeling, and understanding. After a pause, the technomat added that the servitors used to function properly, and that no one had been able to explain the change in their behavior. His gaze still trained on the motionless but animate half-machines and half-people. The Lord Captain did not do that, because that is an insane thing to do. Stepped away from the servitors. Next, his lordship Valin von Valancius gestured for his Exsellsior Prime, asking for a second opinion. The Exsellsior Prime slowly waded into the motionless ranks of the servitors, peering into their faces and checking the readings. There was no haste in Pascal's actions. With mesmerizing diligence, he inspected every single unit in his path, and binaric prayers were his companions in this investigation. The examination confirmed the technomat's initial hypothesis. The servitors' souls, or rather the souls of the people they once were, had awakened. Not yet fully conscious of their past and present, these half-machines could nonetheless feel primitive emotions and sensations such as fear and pain. This undesirable consequence of shoddily performed lobotomy is most rarely observed, and yet, for some unknown reason, it had occurred in every single one of the servitors gathered in the bay. The Lord Captain demanded a report on the defective unit's status from the technomats. The technomat's long-winded and detailed report could have been summarized in a single key point. Despite the servitors' abnormal behavior, they were still quite capable of carrying out tasks, and therefore, the circumstances did not call for their termination. Alright, you know what? I think we've seen enough that we can make a decision here. We don't need to actively vivisect one of these poor guys. My goodness. As if they weren't already mindlessly terrified enough. Servitors are gross. I mean, I know they're a norm of the setting, but necrotech just in general is super gross. Even if they are criminals, as the offenses listed on their collars imply. Valen has no qualms about punishing people for particularly heinous crimes, but he's definitely more a summary execution kind of guy, or imprisonment or banishment, as opposed to just like actively locking someone into eternal torment. After a moment of thought, his lordship turned to me with his decision. His lordship looked at me with unwavering resolve, and it was that confidence that wrenched me out of the nightmarish stupor that had me tensely observing the scene unfolding before me. The Lord Captain gave the order to release these souls from their eternal torment. The Lord Captain's command was executed post-haste. All defective units were incinerated in furnaces, and their remains were expelled into the void. The crew was provided with replacement servitors, and soon forgot all about the destroyed unit's peculiarities. Yet this incident haunts my memories to this very day. With the fate of the defective servitors decided, nothing could now distract the Lord Captain from his mission. Well, I mean, I wouldn't go that far. There's always more things to distract me, but yes, we are done with this particular distraction. And that was interesting. I mean, ultimately, I feel like it's probably just an errant warp event. We are in the midst of a giant chaos insurgency, after all. But it does make me wonder if there's perhaps more to it. I'll just have to put a pin in that for now until other odd events transpire. Anyway, speaking of distractions, I do still have the Thunderfang on standby. Let's hit the pause button real quick. I'll take care of some off-screen trading, and we'll be right back. Don't worry, we're definitely going to push until we hit at least one fight today. Hey, we're back. And sadly, we were not able to quite max out our rep with Thunderfang, which is a shame because there's some pretty nice stuff up here in Tier 3. We did get pretty close, though. We're just 150 points short, which is basically 1 stack of armor or 2 stacks of weapons, which we will definitely have after we hit the prison. But in the meantime, we still get some decent stuff. Alright, let's parcel this stuff out real quick. First, we have a two-handed axe, our first proper two-hander. So, I think we'll go ahead and lose the shotgun we never used. And swap in the great axe. That'll give Abby a heavy attack option once he's engaged. I still like the idea of leading a charge with the Wrath of Drusus for the extra damage buff. And then we still have the Power Maul, too, for knockback. The shotgun was kind of redundant. We also got this. The Reaper Cape, which reduces enemy dodge chance versus melee attacks. So I guess we'll equip that as well. And then we have the Fencing Body Glove. No real question there. We'll toss that to Cassia. Unlike the Psychic Body Glove, it does not scale off of Psi ranking. And we'll pass on the needle ring. I've had enough needles for 1 week, I think. Plus, you know, I have not been impressed by that laser ring. Regardless, let's set our sights on Rykad-Philia. Get ourselves stuck into location number 3. Though, oh yeah, we haven't done Rykad-Majoris either, though that's not a full proper location. We'll hit that after Philia. And there we go. Wait, did we just, My goodness. Okay. Yeah, we went up a level from scanning the planet. We'll just hold that for next time. And here we go. Boom. That right there. Probably enough to max out with Thunderfang. But again, we'll hold off for the moment. We're here for action. And I suppose also to talk to Pilot Raquel. Oh, okay. We've got a trap. Come in, escort. This is Captain Vicari. Escort, please come in. The pale young woman looks at you with a mixture of hope and disbelief swirling in her eyes. You notice her hands trembling as she clutches her weapon. Who are you? Did you come from the planet? Are you reinforcements? Saint's teeth, I thought you'd never come. Abby, you want to handle this? I know it's your thing. Abelard glares at the woman, his brow furrowing. Officer, the person before you is Velen von Valancius, a rogue traitor. Although you are, from what I gather, a subject of another dynasty, you would do well to introduce yourself with the proper decorum. At once, sir. The woman stands at attention. Captain Raquel Vicari, servant of House Winterscale and the pilot of this shuttle. It is an honor to be greeting His Lordship von Valancius. As you were, soldier. Sorry about that. Formalities, you know. So what's going on? There's been a prison riot on the planetoid. Sadly, it's being led by the prison warden himself, the Honorable Anathagon Casteglia. He has allied himself with the rabble that he himself was supposed to watch, and declared Ricadiphilia to be independent of the authority of the system's lawful governor. I came here as the shuttle pilot alongside the Honorable Yvain Winterscale, son of Caligos Winterscale, rogue traitor, vanquisher of Xenos, forever triumphant over the enemies of humanity, she details, enunciating every word of her overlord's title. Young Lord Winterscale wished to speak to the warden personally, so he could put an end to this lawless treason. He and his escort went ahead and... She grows paler. I haven't been able to contact them over Vox for a very long time now. Yeah, they're probably dead. So tell me about this place. What do we know? The only settlement on Ricadiphilia is a penal colony. The prisoners work in the mines and domed quarries. They mine sulfur, saran dust, and sand, which is then melted down. A rather nondescript place. Or so it was, prior to current events. And you said the warden's leading the uprising. Yes. She bites her lip. No one expected this. Master Casteglia is a nobleman from a respected governor house, and a vassal to House Winterscale. All of a sudden, he proclaimed that Ricadiphilia was now his personal domain, that the prisoners were his subjects, and that he would never bow to anyone again. It's pure heresy. And I take it they're looking forward to a diet of sand and gravel? What kind of madman would start a revolt on a barren rock? Why did Yvain come out here to negotiate personally? Asked the rogue trader who was personally leading an assault squad. She sighs quietly. It's a personal matter. Master Casteglia, the seditious warden, is Lord Yvain's childhood friend. When my lord heard of the riot, the news saddened him greatly. and so he rushed here without delay, in hopes of bringing his old friend to his senses, no doubt. The first Winterscale in my memory who prefers to talk first, rather than shoot and slash. She smiles faintly. Young Lord Winterscale is not his father's shadow. If he is determined to save his friend, he won't back down. I pray to the throne that he is alive and well. He's been gone for such a long time, and I really don't like this place. Cassia frowns in confusion. Theobald executed his wife and only son on the mere suspicion of treason against House Orselio. So why did the noble Yvain rush to save someone who had betrayed his house? Do bonds of friendship give one the right to make inexcusable mistakes? I wouldn't put it quite that way, but it can be a mitigating factor, yes. Tell me, Raquel, do you think this has anything to do with what's happening back on Rykad Minoris? It seems more likely that Warden Castaglia learned about the rebellion on Rykad Minoris and decided to use the situation to his advantage. I can't say for certain. Perhaps no one can. Governor Medina has always preferred to shoot rebels rather than inquire about their motives and connections. Yes, exactly. That's why he does not know about the Grand Conspiracy, and I do. Though to be fair, I have also shot several rebels. Tell me, do you know if an interrogator named Van Kalox is tied up in all this? Unless it's one of the prisoners or guards, then it seems unlikely. There are no shuttles in working order other than yours and mine. There's nothing else anyone could have used to reach this place. Understood. Anything else I should know before I go in there? Some of the rebels have holed up in the barracks. I don't know how many, but given this is the only way through to where the negotiations are taking place, I would expect heavy resistance. Please take caution, your lordship. Lord Winterscale's guards mined the entrance so that the rebels couldn't get to the shuttle. Good to know. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. I'll be back shortly. The woman freezes for a moment before asking hesitantly, Your lordship, if I may have a minute of your time, I wouldn't ever have dared to trouble you with a personal matter, but the situation. In any case, have you been to the capital of Rykad Minoris yet? I wanted to ask if you saw a man there, a communications officer by the name of Jasper. I may have. Why do you ask? We are engaged, your lordship, she declares somewhat bashfully. In that case, I'm happy to say that yes, I did encounter him. He's actually worried about you. He'll be glad to know you're all right. She lets out a long sigh. You can see the relief gleaming in her eyes. You can't imagine how much I needed to hear that. Thank you. She bows. You can tell by the desperation in her eyes that she is exhausted, frightened, and wishes to be off this planetoid as soon as possible. Well, let's see if we can expedite that.
Duty prevails.
Rise to the top, or get left in the dust.
This guard post has been vacant for a long time. There's a layer of dust on every surface, which would certainly seem to imply that whatever is going on here is not a new development. The riots are recent, but this implies that the guard post was abandoned quite some time ago. Bridge is out. Oh, and there's, that must be Lord Yvain's escort, I assume. A little late, it would seem. And the barracks. Let's see what we've got here. Small office. That looks... Oh. That looks like a promising place to...
Incredible. Your heart, esteemed Magos, shines with a kaleidoscope of colors, albeit one made of metal.
Only laypersons believe feelings to be the preserve of flawed flesh. We know the higher passions granted by the Omnissiah, the aversion to tech corruption, the blessing of compliance with the canon of maintenance, and the satisfaction of effective devotional service.
Huh. Interesting exchange. Also, I guess we can't go in there? The remains of a meal. One far too lavish for even a hive world, let alone a prison colony. A long string of names extends beneath the heading. Top quarry workers of the cycle.
When the faithful are idle, heresy grows.
Let's get this trap knocked out.
Pay attention.
Oh. And that one. Let's push up a little farther, see if we get any other pings.
I'll make an example out of you!
I will fight if I must.
Well, this is awkward. Also, did you hear that guy's battle cry? I will fight if I must. Not exactly a ravenous horde of cultists. You guys sure you don't want to talk this out? I'm happy to lower my guns. No? Alright, fair enough. Let's do this. We'll lay down some cover fire for Argenta. She is ever so slightly overextended. Nice, though I could have lived without the extended death rattle. Also, obviously, while I have played through this area before, back in beta, that was like almost a year ago at this point, so I have gotten a bit fuzzy on some of the details. Especially when it comes to anything that might have been altered between early access and launch. Actually, can we fire through here? Oh, there we go.
Running binaric override.
Nice. Grenade guard goes.
It's nothing.
With a grenade. Ouch. You alright over there, Argenta? You are not. You are not alright. Okay. We've got to get in there. Thankfully, aside from the grenade guy, it seems like these are mostly melee, which does make it a bit easier to plan things out.
Battlefields are always drowned in scarlet.
Argenta, Heal thyself.
Injuries will not slow you.
That takes care of the injury. Let's see if we can notch up a twofer. No, diagonals are awkward. Fair enough. We'll get Abby on him. Wrap around with a charge.
It will be done.
Armor up. And random acts of violence. Oh, nope. That's not a normal mook. But at least we've got him engaged. Please stop. Please stop hitting Argenta. It is very rude. Argenta deserves our gentlemen. No clear shot for lightning. We'll spill over with shout.
They who discern the future on the battlefield. Anything else?
Oh, right. Nimble was closest. I keep thinking it's closest to target, not closest to Adira. Let's finish him off. Free up Abby.
On it. Another enemy down.
Nice. Man, that was a tough shot, even for our best shooter. Grenade guy's got to be our next priority.
Request approved. The Omnissiah knows all, comprehends all.
Oh, never mind. Yep, not taking that shot. We'll just kill this guy, I guess. We'll have to wait for Valen to come back around. Oh, or we could engage him here. I guess that also works. Wow, they literally lined themselves up for us. Maybe they are gentlemen.
The enemies of the Emperor will be undone!
No!
Mooks are out. Grenadier unscathed.
As the Emperor commands, I act.
Let's push for an angle. Yes. Though, odds aren't great. Lovely.
High momentum.
And Abelard. Abelard's up next, so let's have Cassie give him a nudge. Oh, we can also have Cassie pull this guy in, too. Close the gap. Oh, wow. 24 damage. What the heck? That was way more damage than it should have been. But it's fine. This guy's about to die either way. Abby is taking charge.
Victory is imminent.
It will be done.
Engaged.
At your beck and call.
Oh. Okay, well, that's fine. That's fine. We've got another go at it. Yeah. His turn's up next. Let's try that again.
Reduced to dust.
And Fire Axe for the win. Nicely done, folks. Not quite as smooth as it could have been, but not bad either.
I always keep my options open.
That said, we are past time, and we do now have one fight under our belt. We'll loot these corpses, and I think it's a good place to call it. Please don't trigger anything. Hey, we're good.
Our prayers are different, but I notice similarity in our attitudes towards ministry. It unites us.
You are right. Only we know what it is to pray to our intercessor at an altar in our struggle to protect those close to us, to be their spiritual shield.
Huh. Interesting note to go out on. All right, folks. Yeah, I feel like this is another fairly talky but also productive session. We gathered more clues, we did a bunch of trading, we got to know our man Danrock, not to mention the whole servitor thing. And we've now got a solid foothold in Rycadphilia, which, in theory, we should be able to wrap up next time. I do remember this being a fairly short location. So, we'll hit the pause button for now. We'll take care of the usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time, as we start by taking care of that level up, so we can keep warding off these heretics. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Revenant, Alois, CrowkingLoR, Dragon Matrix 7, Drakiith, B23, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Kazorm, Mark Giemza, Nathan Welch Jr., OverlordPherom, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Tomasz Piątkowski, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you can even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.
I will fight if I must.